in 2023 is what we'll be looking at now, and we have two gentlemen who is Charles Aniagwu is a spokesperson of the PDP Presidential Campaign Council, and we also have a member of the Tinubu Shetima Independent Campaign Council, Olumide Braithwaite. Both of them are joining us virtually now. Thank you, gentlemen, and welcome to the show.
Good morning, Colin, and thanks for having me.
All right.
Good morning, Nigerians.
All right,
everybody.
Welcome.
Good morning, Olumide. Thank you. Fine that you could join us. Let me start with Charles. I know that this somewhat seems like the APC oftentimes seems like they're playing into the hands of the opposition. This story that broke, I mean, Onanuga started with the fact that the presidential candidate of the APC left as a result of the mammoth crowd he experienced in Niger State. And one would ask, isn't it practical that a candidate of a party, a presidential candidate for that matter, should be really, really joyful that he has such a crowd to welcome him rather than run from it? I mean, Charles, how do you respond to this breaking conversation from the APC?
Adora, let me appreciate Dark Communications and all of you, and of course through you to other of our colleagues in the media world who have continued to look at these issues as to how it affects us. When I mean these issues, I'm talking about a lot of issues in the political terrain. For us in the PDP, we have never at any time decided to maybe look at issue of whether somebody is not feeling strong or not. But somehow it has become an issue. It has become an issue not even on the basis of politics, but on the basis of the growth and the survival of our country. If leader Ahmed Bola Tinubu, the Jagaban of Bogun, is not strong, is not mentally alert, it will not be fair for our brothers in the APC to continue to push as if they don't care about the survival of our country. Crowd in any political gathering is an asset because one, you have people to talk to. Secondly, it enhances your bragging right. And so for our brothers in APC to be telling us that the crowd was too much, and so their presidential candidate is now scared of crowd, I don't know what that means. I just want to believe that they are not seeing Nigeria as a banana republic. Just yesterday here, somebody sent me a video of one of, I don't want to mention the country, of one of the countries in North Africa. And they were just singing their national anthem. And all of a sudden, their president, not any other person, their president was busy urinating on his pants. And the camera, they have to stylishly take away the camera from him. Do we want to get to a point where our president, for instance, if eventually, God forbid, that Tinubu wins, and he goes to United Nations, and he introduces himself as the president of Tanzania before he remembers that he's the president of Nigeria? Yesterday, we had to apologize on his behalf to the international community, that's the day before yesterday. That was in politics. We felt that what happened in Chatham House was an embarrassment to the Nigerian nation, and that we needed to apologize so that when our children go for international exam next time, they don't subject them to kind of scrutiny that they don't deserve. And so we plead with our brothers in the APC to think of our country and not a situation where a presidential candidate cannot even speak coherently for 2 minutes, only 2 minutes. And so they need to think when they are issuing that statement and give the reasons that they are advancing. I'm happy my brother from the APC is also on this platform. I want to hear from him. And you can see that their chief spokesperson, my very good brother, since I apologize on his behalf, Festus Keyamo, I hardly see him again because it was becoming an embarrassment to the legal profession, the kind of things he defends, including saying that those who are very well, very intelligent, that they don't need to go to school to pass the exam. You can see these days, he pushes some of these other persons. Maybe he's finding it difficult to advance some of the arguments that he has been used to in the course of the past 5 months. But let me hear what my brother have to say, and let's see the love he has for this our country.
All right, thankfully, Olumide is right here, and I can see you smiling. But, you know, the first thing I want you to tell us is what exactly happened at that Mina campaign rally.
Yes. Good morning, everybody. Once again, thank you for having me. May I also use this opportunity to commend this channel, AIT, the founder of this medium is somebody that I personally respect very much, and I've had a long relationship throughout, even with my late father, Dr. Tunji Braithwaite's lifetime. We had that close relationship, and this station has continued to be objective in its reporting. My good friend on the other side, Charles, started very well in his opening remarks when he also commended this media space. There is a lot of information in the media space. A lot of it is fake news. A lot of it is mud throwing. And what I refer to as irresponsible journalistic hogwash. Whilst media houses have a mandate to report, but they have to report accurately and objectively. And unfortunately, and at this crucial time, our opponents seize that and have been seizing that in the last few months, and then having a field day with the person of Bola Ahmed Tinubu. The media director of the PCC arm has issued a statement, Mr. Bayo Onanuga, which is well publicized and gave reasons for a short speech. And there's nothing wrong with that. I'll use myself as an example where there is a script, but you have to be spontaneous. And with the large crowd that was reported at the trade fair complex in Minna, it was so overwhelming. Our candidate chose to keep it short and attended to other important appointments thereafter. And we have to highlight that rather than highlight only a portion of the events of yesterday, to bring this into proper perspective. Just a day before, let's not forget that there was a rally in Kaduna, in Kaduna State, again witnessing huge crowds, where Bola Ahmed Tinubu also made an appearance and headed immediately after for other engagements, including the chieftaincy that was bagged in a remote area and dangerous area that other candidates have not been able to aspire to. So we are going to change the narrative in the media space. Rather than being defensive, we will take the offense. There has been too much unrequited allegations as to health, age, and competence. And I dare say that as human beings, all of us are mere mortals. Those people that are talking about his health, I dare say I'm a lawyer, but I dare say they're not medical consultants themselves. And if they are, then they should come and show us evidence of this. When I say evidence, I'm talking about persuasive evidence. I'm talking about factual evidence. And I want us to start talking in this space about facts. Facts.
Oh. All right.
Facts and issues that are affecting this country.
Such
as the security reports in the northern part of Nigeria, both in Kaduna where there have been kidnappings, killings. Let's not forget that last year there were over 3,000 deaths in Kaduna State alone. And our candidate made a promise concerning security that he would wipe them out. This is a priority in this country, security
before we get to the campaign.
And not these mere distractions.
Okay, before we get to the campaigns, Olumide, let me come in here. Before we get to the campaigns, my colleague Nkoli asked you a question, and I think she asked you what happened in Niger State. Okay, she asked you a question, and she said, "What happened in Niger State?" Olumide, I'm still staying with you, and I can hear the philosophical conjecture and all of that, but you still haven't answered the question precisely. What happened in Niger State? Why did your presidential candidate leave so abruptly? I know that you are trying to identify that these are distractions and all of that, but really, the Nigerian populace would want to know what happened so that we stop, raising all these conjectures and creating distractions. Did he leave on health grounds? If he didn't leave on health grounds, why did he leave the rally? Please unmute yourself. Please unmute yourself. Yes, we can hear you.
Hello? Can you hear me?
Yes, we can hear you.
Yes. Thank you very much. I thought I had answered the question, and then, of course, I went further. But let me repeat again that a short speech was given by the presidential candidate of the APC at Minna. And there was nothing wrong with a short speech. I was going to allude to an example of myself. Only yesterday, I was at a meeting. I had been at several meetings the whole day. And at my final meeting, I cut short that meeting, having given instructions to other members in that meeting to proceed. And I left the meeting, but we achieved our objective nonetheless. And there's no difference in that. There's no difference in being spontaneous. There's no difference in a long speech or a short speech. He made the trip, and he went to several other destinations after that rally, including opening of 2 new campaign offices in that state, one that was donated by Alhaji Malagi, and so on and so forth. The campaign schedule, I dare say, to my opponent, Mr. Charles there, or even to myself, who are we're middle-aged men, it would be onerous. So all this talk, and they're just distractions. I repeat that, and that exactly is what happened in Minna yesterday. And we're moving on. We are not highlighting a short speech as the breaking news of the day. It's utter hogwash. I repeat that.
Okay, Mr. Braithwaite.
Let's look at the facts.
Mr. Braithwaite.
Nigerians are entitled, absolutely entitled, to question the competence of everybody. But when we talk about competency, let's talk about their economic policies. And we're not just talking about policies in a state of barely 5.5 million people, as compared to a state with over 20 million people. Or even if we're to concede to PDP of where
Mr. Braithwaite, okay, we'll get Mr. Aniagwu to respond to you, but I want you to say something. The problem or the report didn't just highlight the short speech, but the fact that as short as the speech was, it was incoherent. Could you address that? Because somebody of the caliber of Tinubu, an astute politician, is not someone that is afraid of crowd. It's not someone that people know that would be tired of speaking to crowd and then talking incoherently. That is actually the problem here. Could you address that, please?
Absolutely, I'm very glad to. Now, when you talk about incoherent, What do you mean incoherent? There was a short speech that was delivered yesterday, and he thanked the crowd for their attendance. What portion, what context of that, if I may ask you, is incoherent? A short speech is a short speech. We have tremendous challenges. We have a calendar. We have a timetable that we're working against, and we're moving on.
All right. So let's get Mr. Aniagwu to react to you now. Charles, I'm sure you've listened to Olumide. So how would you react to his assertions here?
Well, I listened to my brother Olumide, and I remember his father, Tunde Braithwaite, a man of wit and a man that has also contributed through his many pronouncements and agitations to the development of our country and, of course, the advancement of democracy in this country. And we were told that lions give birth to lions, but Olumide is not appears not to be demonstrating that he's the son of a lion. You can see in the midst of his intelligence, he says that Atiku was a governor of Adamawa. Atiku was elected governor, and from before he was sworn in, he was nominated to become the vice presidential candidate of the PDP by Obasanjo. So he never governed that state. I needed to remind him, maybe he was outside the country that time. Now, back to the issues. In psychology, there is what we call agoraphobia. And then that is somebody who have that fear of crowded places. And the person who has such symptoms is said to be suffering from demophobia. We were never told that Tinubu is demophobic, in which case he has now become afraid of crowded places. And he says a short speech. I hope you saw where Tinubu started a Muslim prayer. And the Muslim prayer that he was saying, he was not even able to recite the prayer the way he should. And you saw the crowd jeering at him. And from that place, he navigated, just like he said, PDAPC. He jumped from that Muslim prayer and ended up with our Lord Jesus Christ. That is the person they are selling to us. And when we said that we needed to look at the issues, they will tell us that these ones are not the issues. And it takes us to a Lagos economy. I see Tinubu is the only one who have governed Lagos. And the Lagos he talks about, I'm happy he lives in Lagos. Maybe he has not been to Okota. He has not been to the inner streets in Agigi. They will just travel along the federal roads built by the federal government, even the military administrations of the past. They will say this is Tinubu's Lagos. They talk about how he took the economy of Lagos from 600 million tax to over about 50 billion tax. And then they fail to tell us who are those collecting this tax. Lagosians are paying this tax, yet they are living in squalor. That is the Lagos they take us to. I've always urged them to bring it on so that we'll discuss Lagos. The same Lagos where people cannot even travel very, very quickly. For a journey of 30 minutes will take them 5 hours, 7 hours. You will be sleeping and snoring and enjoying your sleep elsewhere. Those in Lagos by 3:30, they are already preparing to go to work. Yet, 10 o'clock a.m., they are not yet in their office. That is the Lagos they are giving us example. And so, when Olumide, my brother, and other persons in APC make this argument, they should realize that they are talking about a Nigeria where their children also belong. Let's not talk about the convenience of now and the need to satisfy so much infrastructure. And let me tell you what I thought happened. I'm not a medical doctor. You know, for a very long time, they have been trying to manage this great leader, Asiwaju. We respect him. He has been a leader in this country. It's unfortunate that what you did when you were 40, when you were 30, and when you were 50, you may not be able to do it when you are above 80. Even if the man makes us believe that he's around 70 years. You recall that what they do is they have been doing break and quench. They organize one rally today. They manage him for that rally. After he speaks for about 4 minutes, the rally ends. The Kaduna he's taking us to, what did the man speak to in Kaduna? Was he able to even enunciate his policy document in Kaduna? And they thought they could do the marathon that we are doing in PDP. They finished from Kaduna, and they felt, since Niger is closed, let's just do it. Just only 2 days marathon. What we have been shouting and talking about immediately manifested. It's total exhaustion. He was not able to carry on from Kaduna to Niger. Atiku goes on from one state to the other, attend several meetings, and has not demonstrated any element of demophobia, where you begin to get afraid of crowd. A politician who has governed a state like Lagos, just like Olumide, my brother, pointed out, is now very much afraid of crowd. Olumide, please, I am sure you are not going to be bold to tell your children these arguments you are making as a lawyer, to talk about short speech, where a man started with a particular prayer, even before he could say, in the name of Allah, the most magnificent, he jumped into Jesus Christ. The same way he jumped from PDP, he jumped into APC. The same way he was going to talk about hula baloo, he started by saying blue, 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 hula ba. And it became now a new song. Olumide, we are talking about somebody to govern our country for our children, even if you felt that we have enjoyed or that we have lived our life, according to Wole, you can say wasted generation. Will the generation of our children also be wasted under a leadership of a man who will end up, in case he becomes a president, and God forbid, telling them that he's the president of Tanzania and not the president of Nigeria? Maybe somebody will pinch him. The other day, he was asked his name in Chatham House. Somebody had to script a paper to remind him of the date he was born. He did not even remember immediately. He had to read a paper to remember his date. That is the president you people are giving to us. I'm happy that President Muhammadu Buhari is not following them about. Buhari saw what the governors of the APC didn't see. They stopped Oshibajo, a man that had demonstrated great intellectualism. They stopped him because they had so much money in the APC from emerging. And we say, thank God that they did not even progress along that line. Maybe we would have been able to have something like lose like a contest. Now, I'm happy that Oshibajo will be sitting in one corner and be looking at them.
Okay, Charles.
They gave him all sorts of names. They pushed him away, forgetting that we are looking for somebody to govern this country. Look at the few periods Oshibajo had swing as acting president. Before
we get to...
But these persons who don't believe that Nigeria should get out of the cocoon, dealt with him, pushed him aside, denigrated him, and then they brought this, our brother, and they did not look at his mental alertness. And Olumide say, whether we are doctors. Do I need a doctor to tell me a man who is naked and walking on the streets and is picking leaves and is eating it? I'll go and look for a psychiatrist to tell me that there's something wrong with that man. A man who went just ordinary to pronounce hula baloo is telling you hulaba, blue, blue, blue. Now, this jokingly now said that we have different kinds of blue. And the hulaba has now become a type of the blue we have in this country. And Olumide is saying it doesn't matter. Please, Olumide, think of your children and think of our country. Tinubu is not fit to be a president. Let us be exact and be factual about that.
Still staying with you, I mean, he says that all of these conversations are journalistic hogwash, and that's how he started off the conversation earlier. A distraction. And, you know, it's quite unfortunate that people are looking at that. But still staying with you, Charles. Tinubu was at the Plateau rally, which had a mammoth crowd, was welcomed. He was at the Tessin Balogun Lagos rally, which was the mother of all rallies, where he was even referred to as a city boy. And then, of course, he now says that the Niger crowd is a mammoth crowd, and so just deservedly needs to just have a few commentaries for him before whisking away. Now, it's obvious what is being trended is to protect, perhaps, the image of the candidate. But beyond that, Charles, what is the danger of this? Not just for the APC, but for Nigerians who demand to know the fitness bill and the health status of all the candidates that are running for the 2023 election. Today is APC, tomorrow it may be Labour, next tomorrow it may be PDP. Isn't it really time for the candidates running for the 2023 election to come out with a fitness bill to say, yes, our candidate is fit and firm and has been clarified and certified fit to run in the 2023 election, so that we also know that we are getting what the people are going to the ballot to vote for?
Well, when you talk about health, for us who are not in the medical profession, there are two major elements that we identify, and easily we can pass judgment. One is mental alertness. How alert are you mentally? Because when you speak, when you make argument, when you discuss with people, they are able to know whether indeed you are in line and that your mental organs and senses, rather, are doing the best they could to defend the issues. And like if you ask me, have you been to Lagos? And I start telling you that, in New York, there are a lot of beautiful places. You first of all may think I made mistake the first time. And then when you now ask me again, say, how is your mother? And I begin to tell you, that my friend in Germany. Nobody will tell you that there's something wrong, particularly when you feel that I have not tasted some alcohol. Now, when a man walks and falls and walks and falls, and it's not as if he's a person living with disability, you will also begin to see that there is something wrong with the physical fitness. Tinubu is usually guided. We don't have problem with his physical fitness because at least with his age, he can afford to even use walking stick. And there's nothing that says that even somebody who is crippled cannot be our president. Nothing that says so. But our fear is what has now become the fear of the age of his ideas and the mentality of the man that we're talking about. And so when they wake up, and like you mentioned, they had crowd in a number of other events that they held. At that time, he was not demophobic. At that time, he was not suffering from agoraphobia. Now, it does appear that has become, like they are saying, has become another cause of concern for us. That a president who is afraid of crowd of less than 30,000 persons want to govern a country of over 200 million people. I don't know how that sits. And the issue is, you invited these people. You are supposed to be happy and dancing that you are not having people to address. And he's saying that because the crowd is too much, the man gave a short speech. Let Olumide tell us what that short speech was, because it does appear that I don't know what that short speech was. And so, let's take away even the politics of these issues and then think about the survival of our country. Today, our country is bleeding because of the many lies we were told in 2015, and many fell for it. And the head of the persons that told us those lies in 2015, is Ahmed Bola Tinubu. They painted a picture. Now they are too scared of the national embarrassment they have caused us in the last 7.5 years. They decide to micromanage what they could see as success, and they are taking us to one of the most renowned urban slum. They take us to Lagos. I told you a while ago that Charles, if you live in Lagos,
let's get
and you want to go to work
in now,
while I'm busy sleeping, dreaming, and possibly snoring away in Delta, the people in Lagos by 3 a.m. are already thinking of how to jump into their bathroom. Not because they want to go and hold one night meeting somewhere, but because they are rushing not to go late in their place of work. And when they close, even when they close at 10 o'clock, they are still on the road. Their very wonderful leader, Erufai, a man we believe is on sabbatical and will have cause to return to PDP, told them that the moment you live in Lagos, you don't need to go to any church to pray to go to heaven, because you have already suffered your own hell on earth. That is the Lagos they want to take us to. A Lagos that has been very successfully defined by Erufai. And when they talk about that, go to Lagos, they think that everybody have not been to Lagos. Those who sit in Abuja or who live in Maryland, they don't even go to the inner streets. Maryland built by federal government, Anthony built by federal government, Lagos Island built by federal government, Victoria Island built by federal government. They take us to those places. Ask them, which bridge did Tinubu build? Let him mention one. Only
Charles,
one.
Let's get to Olumide.
The major bridges connecting the island and the mainland in Lagos. You have the Kata Bridge, you have the Eko Bridge, you have the Third Mainland Bridge. None of them, Tinubu did not contribute a penny to any one of them. They have been planning the Fourth Mainland Bridge for ages. They use it to campaign whenever they want to campaign. That Fourth Mainland Bridge does not even have a single stone. And so, Adora and my sister Ankole, please plead with my brother Olumide. I respect his father, and I extend the same respect I have for his father to him. To look at his father's picture, and what his father stood for in defending our country, and know that his father led a life that is worthy of emulation. Let him look at his father and emulate his father, and not to be carried away by whatever they call politics while destroying our country.
All right, Charles.
I give the floor to
Olumide.
To my brother Olumide. Let that speech that Tinubu made that was so short and so succinct.
All right, Olumide, he has taken the question out of our mouth, so you'll be responding to that. But we do know that health, really, anybody can have ill health. Anybody can be sick, really, because even those people who claim to be healthy may be suffering from one ailment or the other that people don't know. But when you are vying for the president, a position like the president of a country, I think it matters really the status of your health. So please respond to some of these issues raised by Charles.
Thank you very much. Thank you for the laurels and the comments about my late father. Thank you very much, Charles. However, I do think that you have failed woefully this morning. If you are a spokesperson for PDP, I've listened and struggled to listen to any substance to anything that because I didn't hear anything or tirade concerning any of the programs that your candidate Atiku Abubakar has for Nigeria. Rather, that you've turned into a critic or a comical critic in that regard, because all you have done is to disparage or attack the person of Bola Tinubu. You haven't addressed the issues, and the issues are clear. Now, we are in a very serious situation in this country. The fact that this country, and this applies both to the APC and the PDP, the presidency was zoned to the south. This is because we are made up of many ethnic nationalities in Nigeria. And it surprises me how the PDP would come up with a candidate again from the north when we have very rich, diverse peoples in this country. And we have all suffered in this country from one form of marginalization or the other. When you want to talk about records and statistics, they are there to be scrutinized. And I dare say Bola Ahmed Tinubu's record has probably been one of the most scrutinized. Charles has not told us how his candidate of the PDP intends to get us out of this economic milieu that the PDP largely contributed to. He made reference to 2015. Rather, the economic policy, or according to the manifesto that we've heard from the PDP, is to sell off refineries, perhaps to his business cronies and friends. And that won't work. That's not going to help us. Charles himself, initially I thought maybe he would be from Southeast, but he has told us very well that he is from Delta. Therefore, his parochial allegiance is understandable, because the vice presidential candidate is also from Delta State. However, Charles, I suspect, has lived and has earned and prospered in Lagos State, which is a cosmopolitan state. And a lot of the policies in Lagos, I dare say, a lot all, will be applied on a federal basis. And these are the issues that we need to be talking about. This is why Bola Tinubu is the best candidate for the seat of president. Not only has he demonstrated excellent records in terms of turning around the economy, not only is his international posture better than any of the other candidates in terms of and so forth, which we need in this country. The other candidates don't come near. Charles should go back and tell us what the PDP intends to do with some of these crushing issues that we're facing, rather than throwing mud. I dare say that they have policies, they have things to offer Nigerians. So they should start telling Nigerians rather than running after us in the APC and looking for derogatory remarks and things that really are distractions. What I term distractions. And this is what we need to do. We have very, very serious issues that are confronting us, from security, from food shortages. We have a lot of infrastructural decay that this government has also has been on record as performing very, very, very well. These things are not amplified in the media.
All right,
and it's time to turn a little and start.
All right, Olumide, thank you so much for that. I think that's why we have to draw the curtain this morning. Olumide Braithwaite is a member of the Tinubu Shatima Independent Campaign Council, who's joined us this morning to look at the suitability and fitness of the APC candidate Bola Ahmed Tinubu. We'll also be joined by Charles Aniagwu, spokesperson for the PDP Presidential Council. Thank you so much for joining us, Charles and Olumide.
Thanks for having me. But next time, remind him that we didn't come here to talk about programs of candidates.